Scepter of the False Prophet is in the game. This one-handed mace is the Bis healing weapon until Kel'Thuzad goes down. But what other items should Resto Druids prioritize for Phase 5? In this video, I'm going to go over the tips for parsing in AQ, playstyles, and loot priority for Restos in the AQ patch. Some general tips to start off. Rejuvenation-focused Druids will see their raid healing rise significantly due to the trash-heavy, long format of AQ. Particularly with the trash beyond Twin Imps, 8 out of 8 Tier 2 is great for raid healing and overall healing for Warcraft logs for the entire AQ run. Another item or general tip is that the AQ40 books are now in the game, and these in particular increase your max rank for healing touch and rejuvenation. Get these as soon as you can. Max rank rejuve is huge, and your max rank healing touch paired with Wuxulei's Charm or your Nature Swiftness macro is fantastic as well. Get these as soon as you can. In the first week or two, these will be very expensive, and then they will fall off a cliff for sure. Now tips over for parsing. Now this is going to be a quick boss-by-boss breakdown, and a lot of them, man, it really just depends on your kill times at the end of the day. Parsing for healing, is also my disclaimer, is kind of a joke. If you want to be at the very top for parsing and healing, your raid either needs to take a bunch of unnecessary damage, and your heals are effective for that, so your raid is not actually performing at a level of competency that's good, or you are so good, you're such at the top that your kill times are so quick that your few heals that go off that happen to be pretty big make you the top HPS for parsing at the end of the day. Ultimately, good healing is making sure that people don't die to regular mechanics, that your raid is moving along efficiently and the right pace, and that you can make clutch decisions to save other players from their poor choices. Those are good marks of healing in my mind. Okay, now going to boss-by-boss breakdown. The first is for Prophet Scarab. If you want to parse for this, you need people to take a bunch of damage, so you want your rogues and warriors to be bad at interrupting the ads that spawn. These mirror images, if they are not kicked, they will do an AoE explosion, arcane explosion, and more damage will go out. So if you want to parse well, you need to have a bad raid, and then you want to make sure that you're pre-applying your hots, and then using your quick spells to get these people topped off with their heals, either using Wuxulei's Charm or with max rank 3 gross pretty quickly. Now you can pre-pop a greater arcane protection potion as well. This does count as healing for your parse if you absorb one of these arcane explosions. The next is the bug trio. The top parses will kill Kree last. This means that there will be more poison bolt volley and poison bolt volley damage going out versus if you kill him first or second. So if your guild week 1 is killing Vem last, which is going to be typical for the majority of guilds, you probably won't have the highest parses on Warcraft logs. Also, if you are on Horde and have Poison Cleansing totem down for your shamans in each party, it's going to be a lot harder for you to parse on this as well. It'll be easier for Alliance Druids that kill Kree last, that have 8 out of 8 Tier 2, to get the highest parses for this encounter. So if that is you, if you're Alliance and you have 8 out of 8 Tier 2, I would use max rank rejuve. Make sure you're talented into 3 out of 3 improved rejuve. I think that is the best way to parse on this encounter. Next is Battleguard Sartura. This is a great one to quickly use Wuxulei's Charm of Nature to top off melee targets that are getting hit by the whirlwind, and you want to make sure that you're preemptively hotting up players ahead of the spins. If you have Wuxulei's, make sure to use that and bind that with your max rank healing touch to top off these players. Fankris. Not much healing should go out on this encounter unless a worm randomly smacks a healer and you get healing aggro. What you'll want to do for this encounter in particular is be really quick with your Nature Swiftness and max rank healing touch. Players really shouldn't take a lot of damage except for if additional ads come in to the main group and they like almost one tap a player. You want to be that first person that Nature Swiftness, max rank healing touches that person back up before it's killed. That'll be the way that you can get a big chunk of healing on a really short encounter. Viscidus. This is another 8 out of 8 Tier 2 fight, and another one in which Alliance has an advantage over the Horde for healing. I'm sorry, it's just kind of the nature of it and how it goes. The more poison bolt damage that goes out means there's more healing to be done. and allows your rejuves to be able to heal and be effective versus overhealing. So for this fight, you want to use your Rejuve gem if you have it, and Royal Seal of Eldrathos. Do not use Wushalace. And you want to make sure that you're getting everybody hotted up as best you can. And hopefully you're not wasting any GCDs on Poison Cleansing, but you can actually use it for Rejuve. Next would be Huhuron. I would recommend using Zandalorian Hero Charm and Wushalace for this fight. Now, once again, there can be a bunch of different ways this could go, and a fight can spin out of control for sure. But what I would recommend for the normal encounter of Huhuron is about a 50% health or HP left for the boss. Pop a Zandalorian Hero Charm, and then once he enrages at 30%, pop your Wushalace Charm of Nature. From that 50% down to 30%, you are tossing out max rank rejuvenation on melee targets that you know are going to be hit by the damage that goes out in Enrage. Another one, if you're Alliance, once again, I'm favoring Alliance here because Horde has a lot of great cheat codes with totems or chain heal. But if you're Alliance, you want to make sure to make going into that 30% that you have Wushalace ready to go, and you will tap your Wushalace and do max rank healing touch on melee groups that do not have a priest in them. So there's no AoE healing going on in those groups. Typically, it's going to be your main tank healer group, which would be group 1, if there's main tank and off tanks in that group, and you're going to be popping Wushalace with max rank healing touch, and you have already had rejuice rolling ahead of time prior to the Enrage going out. Next would be Twin Imps. This one is a little bit trickier, and it's a longer fight. And so I think in 2025, it will definitely be shorter than it was in the 2019 version of Classic, but is probably going to be the longest fight we have to date so far in the 2025 anniversary realms. So you do want to make sure you're conserving your mana as best you can. And so I think this is actually just a general tip is you probably want to use Healing Touch quite a bit for this encounter. But I would go ahead, and one tip for this in making sure that you can get a few heals to be effective over your other co-healers is that when the twins swap, watch for the caster boss and how they target your physical tank prior to them targeting your warlock. In the first couple weeks, warlocks might not have the best snap threat. And so after a twin teleport happens, the previous warrior or bear druid tanks that were tanking the physical twin will get that initial aggro on the caster. And if you are quick to continue to heal them before swapping to the warlock and you have target of target on, you might be able to get a few more heals out that are effective on targets taking bigger damage. For Oro, you want to make sure that you're watching your threat meter post Sandblast. This will give you a heads up notice as to which melee target will be tanking the boss next, and you can have either a Rejuve with a Swiftmen getting ready to go on that second target, or you're queuing up a Regrowth or Healing Touch, whatever it may be, but you are aware of who's about to take the next round of damage when tanking Oro. I would also recommend pre-popping a Greater Nature Protection Potion and eating a Sandblast at some point in time. There are ways in which you can do the encounter where a mage gets threat on Oro and essentially eats all the Sandblasts so the raid never gets one, which is fantastic. But if you want to get a little bit of extra healing out and you have probably not the most competent mages, it's really good to pre-pop a Greater Nature, so then when you eat a Sandblast, it absorbs some of that damage. The last one would be Cthulhu. Use target of target on Cthulhu. For phase 1, when he's randomly doing his individual, not I-beam, but the kind of the I-beam zaps, if you will, on targets across the room, if you are looking at the target of target and queue up your rank 4 healing touch as soon as he swaps target and press your rank 4 healing touch, it will go off right after the target gets hit with Cthulhu's I-beam mechanic. So it's something that if somebody's being targeted on the other side of the room, you won't be in range to heal them at all times. But if somebody's in range of you and you are quick to hit rank 4 healing touch as soon as they change the target and starts to cast, your heal will land right at the perfect time, so your healing touch is effective in phase 1. Now, when Cthulhu does the 360 I-beam one-shot mechanic, you want to make sure to put rejuvenations on the targets that are being affected by Mind Flay for the ads that come up. And this is kind of the strategy for phase 1. In phase 2, if you are sent down to the Cthulhu's, the belly or whatever it is, you want to stay in as long as you can. I say this because not only then you can heal the DPS that are bringing down the tentacles, and that means that you can hopefully phase Cthulhu quicker and end the encounter sooner, which is helpful for parsing, but also you will be taking longer focused damage down below, and there's likely not going to be any other healer that's down below healing targets. And so if you continue to take stacks and can heal yourself up and can heal the melee targets up, all of those heals will be effective and will be helpful for your overall parse for Cthulhu. So when you get sent down, make sure to stay in as long as you can. Obviously, you want to make sure you have enough time to get back up. The teleport does lag and takes a couple seconds, so don't get caught, and die down below. That really does suck. But you can get some good effective healing down below for Warcraft logs. When you go up top, and it's in the second phase, whenever one of those big claws spawn, it will do an AoE knockback for anybody who's in range, and they will all take damage. That's a great time to pop Wushalays and top everybody else off who takes damage from that knockback. Some general playstyle notes. In AQ, Wushalay's Charm is fantastic. You will be using it on almost every encounter. I highly recommend using this. It's a great time to have a Moonglow spec if you don't have one yet. Also, Regrowth, I'm sure, will continue to be a strong spec heading into AQ. That is definitely outperformed expectations going into Anniversary this time around, especially with the lower kill times. People have quicker kill times for bosses, and you don't need as much mana. And so Regrowth will still be strong. I do think Wushalays with max rank healing touch, and even with rank 4 healing touch, will edge out Regrowth for AQ phase. It definitely will for Nax, but I think this is where it starts to turn for AQ as well. If you are Swiftmend, wonderful. You can still run Wushalays. That's great. I think Swiftmend is still fantastic, and I'm actually running that in Anniversary, being primarily a tank healer this time around as our raid lead. One last note for those that are Regrowth spec is that I would drop your Regrowth spec for the Twin Emperors just because it is a longer fight. This one might actually be the first encounter where you have mana issues due to the length of how long it takes to down both of the twins. So I would recommend a Healing Touch and Rejuve build with Moonglow, or even Swiftmend for this. Okay, now moving over to loot priority. Now, there are a bunch of different items I can list here. I'm going to list just a few, though, that you should be keeping your eye out on. This is for your soft reserves, if you're in a soft res guild, if you do a loot council guild with like loot list or loot prio or that's my BIS. These are the items that you want to target as kind of the BIS items or your top priority moving into AQ phase. The first one is the Scepter of the False Prophet. This is the BIS weapon until either the Hammer of the Twisting Nether off of Kel'Thuzad, or getting Atiesh, which you need to kill Kel'Thuzad. So, if you're someone that you think, man, I don't know if my guild's going to make it to the end, or I don't know if I'm going to keep playing to the end, or I don't really care about, getting a KT weapon at the end of the day, try to put Scepter as the number one item for yourself, because this item is fantastic. You will not get a better item until you've beaten the game in Classic Vanilla. So, great item, go for it. The next, I'm going to put Ring of the Martyr, and I'm going to put this because it is one of the 3 BIS rings that you can get for the rest of the game. Ring of the Martyr, Band of Unanswered Prayers and Nax, and Pure Elementium Band are all pretty equivalent, and having 2 out of those 3 rings is what you want for end game BIS. So, if you have not gotten Pure Elementium Band at this point in time, I haven't personally, I would put Ring of the Martyr pretty high up on your list. Maybe it's second at this point in time because you want to get a good ring upgrade. Ring of the Martyr is fantastic. Any combination between those 3 rings, 2 of those 3, you are sitting very pretty. The next would be Bracelets of Royal Redemption. These are the BIS bracers for the rest of the game. Better than tier 3, these are the best ones. Now, every other healer basically wants them too. So they're cloth and anybody can wear them. So there's going to be pretty good competition for this. The next would be the Grasp of the Old God. This is the best in slot belt. Now, I would say this is somewhat situational. If you want to run 4-piece tier 3 down the road, you might replace Grasp of the Old God with the tier 3 belt just because you want to keep that 4-set bonus for Nax, and tier 3 for, I think it's the mana reduction for spells. I'd also say, if you can get your hands on this, get it. I mean, the ability, if you are in a place down the road in 2025 anniversary where you can say, wow, I can run 4-piece tier 3 with the belt, man, you're very lucky, because there's not going to be a lot of lockouts, I believe at least, prior to going into TBC. So if you can get your hands on this belt, it's fantastic. Technically, it's better than the tier 3 belt, so go for it. Next, I'm going to say is the Idol of Health. This improves healing touch cast speeds by 0.15 seconds. Now, this is really ideal with the rank 3 healing touch and a Nature's Grace spec. So if you're running like a Moonglow spec with Nature's Grace, what you can do is after a crit, if you have this Idol on, your rank 3 healing touch will be the fastest heal in the game. It comes out to a 1.35 second cast. Now, your rank 3 healing touch is 2 seconds, and then after a Nature's Grace proc, it's reduced by 0.5 seconds, so it's 1.5. And so this is faster than a Flash of Light or a Flash Heal by a Priest. So this is great for heal sniping, and every druid should try to go after this item as well, in my mind. Idle Rejuvenation is better, but this is pretty equivalent. And when you're at the end game in Nax, this is great for that additional heal sniping for those fights that not a ton of damage is going out. Next would be the Robes of the Guardian Saint. This is the top healing chest in the game as of AQ patch. Finally, there's an upgrade from the robes of the from Strat UD, but the downside is 2 things. One is that it's just a minor increase in plus healing. You're only getting like about 2 healing power increase from the UD Strat robe. Now, the other stats that go along with it are way better. So the secondary stats are strong, and this is a good upgrade. But from a healing power perspective, it's not that much better. And the other downside, you go from wearing a robe to wearing another robe, from a dress to a dress. So in my mind, I would much prefer getting the tier 3 chest. It looks better. It's leather. If you have to prioritize getting this versus tier 3 chest, I would wait for the tier 3 chest. Keep using your robes of the from UD and use your tier 2 when it comes to the Rejuve 8 out of 8 fights. Other note to be aware of is if you have not gotten a neck upgrade, there are 2 great neck upgrades heading into Phase 5. If you've not gotten Jindo's Evil Eye from Zul'Gurub, go and run AQ20, and if you get the Head of Assyrian off of the final boss in AQ20, you can turn it in for a neck that's, I think, plus 46 healing power. So you got a great neck upgrade from your UD Strat neck, if that's what you're still using. Otherwise, you can get the best neck in the entire game with the Eye of Cthulhu. So after you down Cthulhu, you can turn this in for a plus 59 healing power neck. This is better than the Necklace of Necropsy that drops off of Hygen and Nax. And if you can get this, get it. Now, Eye of Cthulhu is going to be, once again, highly contested. Not only do all healers want it, all casters want it. They all want the ring that drops with plus 1 hit and 30 some odd spell power off of the Eye of Cthulhu. Also, if you have Bear Druids, the cloak that drops is their best cloak. And I don't think melee or tanks otherwise need Eye of Cthulhu as much as the other groups here, but that's still a lot of other players that need the item. Now, it drops guaranteed every single lockout in AQ, but I'm not sure how many AQ lockouts we are going to have prior to Nax releasing. My guess is if they kind of mirror what they did in Season of Discovery, is they released Nax sooner than they released previous rate tiers. So the gap between MC and BWL in Season of Discovery was larger than the gap between AQ and Nax. Same with BWL and AQ. That gap was larger than Nax and AQ. And that was the same back in Classic Vanilla originally. The time frame between AQ release and Nax was shorter than the previous tiers. So if Anniversary is already on an accelerated schedule and it will be releasing shorter, maybe 3 months of lockouts, maybe 2.5, That's anywhere between 8 to 12 lockouts of AQ prior to Nax coming out. So if you can get in that top 8 to 12 people that are prioritized for Eye of Cthulhu, awesome. That's great. Also know, if you're going to be in a guild that, starts to run Nax and you're dropping all other raids, for instance, maybe you're going to continue to run legacy raids. But if you don't and you're just running Nax, you might not be able to get this anymore. And so go ahead. If you are able to get prioritized for it, awesome, go for it. Otherwise, you have good fallback options. The ZG neck and the AQ40 neck are both really solid, and there's a potential upgrade in Nax for Hagen the Unclean and the Necklace of Necropsy. So I'm going to put this just as kind of like an aside, but wanted to share that as well. I will also call out one other weapon upgrade, because Scepter of the False Prophet, your guild might not even see one due to RNG. The Imperial Kiraji Regalia drops off of a bunch of different bosses in AQ, and in tandem with 3 Elementium ore can be turned in for a 2-handed staff with a bunch of plus healing power. So if you're rocking anything prior to Scepter of the False Prophet, this combination between even between Locomir and, your AV offhand is not as good as a 2-handed staff that drops off of the Regalia. So if you can't get prioritized for Scepter of the False Prophet, try to get prioritized for the Regalia. This is a great upgrade and can be used into Nax and maybe even for the rest of the game if you're unable to get another weapon upgrade. All right, that's all my notes, kind of my tips for AQ phase. I hope you all have a great launch later in July, and I hope everybody's got their 8 out of 8 tier 2, that you've got your Wushale's Charm of Nature, and you're ready to rock and roll. Druid has actually been really strong, I think, overall in Anniversary, stronger than it was in Classic 2019. I think much of this is due to the buff cap being removed, so very thankful for that. But as we head into AQ, try to get a few more items going into Nax, and I think we're really going to shine when it comes to overall healing in AQ. Thanks again.